I stopped talking. This is marriage wisdom for wives who want a long marriage. One of the most misunderstood moments in a marriage is when someone stops talking. Not completely, but emotionally. They stop explaining how they feel. They stop bringing things up. They stop trying to be understood. And from the outside, it can look like peace, but it's not. It's exhaustion. Because people don't stop speaking for no reason. They stop speaking when they feel like it doesn't make a difference. At the beginning of a relationship, communication is different. People explain themselves more. They express their thoughts. They correct misunderstandings. They want to be known. They want to be understood. But over time, if those efforts don't feel received, something begins to change. Slowly, quietly. Someone begins to say less. Not because they don't have anything to say, but because they don't feel like it will matter. And when that shift happens, it's not small, it's emotional. Because communication is how connection is maintained. And when communication changes, connection begins to change. At first, it may not be obvious. Conversations still happen. Daily routines continue. Life goes on. But something deeper has shifted. The openness isn't the same. The willingness to explain isn't the same. And over time, that silence becomes a pattern. But silence is not neutral. Silence holds things, unspoken thoughts, unexpressed feelings, unresolved experiences. And those things don't disappear. They accumulate. And when they accumulate, they create distance, emotional distance. And emotional distance is one of the earliest stages of disconnection in a marriage. This is where many people become confused because there may not be arguments, there may not be obvious tension. Everything can look normal, but internally, connection has changed. And when connection changes, resentment begins to grow. Resentment doesn't always come from something dramatic. Sometimes it grows in the space where communication stopped, where effort to explain decreased, where someone decided it's easier to stay quiet than to keep trying to be heard. And when that happens long enough, the silence becomes comfortable, but it's not healthy because comfort without connection creates distance. And distance, if left unaddressed, can reshape a relationship. That is why awareness matters. Recognizing when communication has changed. Recognizing when silence is no longer peaceful but protective. Because many people become quiet, not because they are okay, but because they are protecting themselves from frustration. And if that protection stays in place too long, it becomes separation. That is why long marriages require intentional communication, not constant talking, but safe communication, where both people feel heard, where both people feel understood, where both people feel like their voice matters. Because when someone feels heard, they keep speaking. When they feel understood, they stay connected. But when they feel unheard, they begin to withdraw. And that withdrawal, if not addressed, can grow into something deeper. That is why this stage matters, because it is not the end of a marriage, but it is a turning point. And what happens next depends on whether it is recognized, addressed, and handled with care. Because long marriages are not built by avoiding these moments. They are built by recognizing them early and choosing to reconnect. And that is how long marriages are built.